Today's lost and found subject isn't particularly lost. Star Trek First Contact. Actually, the 8th film from the franchise was rather successful in its 1996 release with over $140 million worldwide. It also doesn't need to be found, as it's usually considered to be the top 3 best films in the franchise. However, as time has went on, the film has been looked on actually rather negatively, which has almost reinforced a different opinion on the film for me.
No! No!
After rewatching, I've finally come to a conclusion on this film. Is it a true Star Trek film, or is it an action schlock with Star Trek paint? Let's find out. As usual, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I try to read through and respond to every comment, including the ones that are even critical of my own content. This is an open, accepting community, so feel free to share your thoughts on the film, the universe, or even my content. Back to the review. Star Trek First Contact follows the TNG crew as they attempt to stop a Borg cube from invading Earth.
Our colony on Ivor Prime was destroyed this morning. Long-range sensors have picked up...
Yes, I know. The Borg.
During the assault, the Borg cube launches a sphere that travels through time to the year of 2063 to stop Earth from making first contact.
That's what they came here to do, stop First Contact.
Captain Picard and his crew are forced to go back and stop them. First Contact is a particularly special film to me. It's the first film little top me saw in theaters for this franchise. Hey, comment down below what the first Star Trek film you saw in theaters was. It remained a highly regarded film to me. That was until a little video on YouTube made its path.
Star Trek First Contact is the 3,967th worst film ever made.
Red Letter Media, famed as perhaps the starter to all YouTube video reviews, did a rather analytical breakdown of the film.
I mean, it can't be that bad. It's got action, it's got the Borg, it's got explosions.
It left no stone unturned and provided a unique perspective that made me say, well, shoot, that is a good point.
It was designed for one purpose only, to fight and defeat the Borg. The Defiant was the prototype, the first ship in what would have been a new Federation battle fleet.
So when the moment finally comes to fight off a fucking Borg invasion, the Defiant shows up with nothing less than the B-Team. It's just Worf in command.
Before continuing on, let me address 2 things. I highly recommend those that haven't invested time in Red Letter Media do so. Every video essayist owes something to them, aware of it or not. Secondly, while it is always fun and hilarious to critically tear a film up, film criticism should mainly be about providing a perspective first. Mr. Plankett's review will be a catalyst for my analysis on this film, mainly for the attention to detail and the acclaim the review received.
The Defiant. Adrift, but salvageable.
How does Picard magically know the status of the Defiant? I didn't see him look at a control panel, or even ask anybody. In fact, the Defiant was actually right next to the Borg cube when it exploded.
I will be the first to admit, a lot of Mr. Plankett's review is right on. However, the film's focus on Captain Picard will be the focus of my review. Captain Picard is flipped from his Earl tea sipping, highly intelligent, thought-provoking self to shooting phaser rifles, climbing on rope snake things, and snapping necks. The drastic flip in the character is, well, kinda off-putting. So much so that Plankett calls it the Tale of Two Picards. But I'm willing to actually say that this is more of a character study of Captain Picard.
I will make them pay for what they've done.
Picard, throughout the movie, is clearly acting illogical, and unlike the Picard we knew from the series.
But I'm also bound by my oath and my conscience to uphold certain principles.
Besides a scene of him listening to classical music or quoting Moby Dick, this isn't the Picard we know, but I'm willing to go out on a limb and say it is. Nightmares, hostility,
Blow up the damn ship!
No! No!
self-destruction,
Let Data go, and I will take my place at your side, willingly without any resistance.
fear, anxiety,
I remember you.
mistrust,
You're afraid. You want to destroy the ship and run away. You coward.
Jean-Luc.
Captain Picard is actively acting out several symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder right before our eyes. Quite a few times we do see the Picard we know, as mentioned before, and in fact, his actions actually raise the suspicions of historical figure Lily.
Jean-Luc, it's one of your uniforms.
Yes, this was Ensign Lynch.
Tough luck, huh?
Picard has went off the deep end, wanting revenge in a way that never really fit with his character, but these are the Borg. Not only did they basically mutilate Picard, but they made him commit disgusting acts for their own beneficial gain. So perhaps we aren't really seeing a tale of two Picards.
Not hunters, Doctor, nor is it our role to exact revenge.
I will make them pay for what they've done.
But rather a character we know and love go through a really surreal human emotion.
I am simply imitating the behavior of humans.
Something Star Trek isn't shy about exploring. Now, Mr. Plinkett does make one good acknowledgement of the differing Picard with his treatment of Hugh.
Brought it aboard the Enterprise, studied it, analyzed it, and eventually found a way to send it back to the Borg with a program that would have destroyed the entire collective once and for all. But instead, you nursed the Borg back to health, treated it like a guest, gave it a name, and then sent it home.
Now keep in mind, this whole story came after Picard was abducted by the Borgs. And they still didn't want to kill them all.
But once more, I think the film does a serviceable job explaining Picard's rationale once more. This cube is on a collision course with Earth, involving multiple ships being destroyed. Hugh, who the Enterprise crew rescued, was an injured drone found among a crashed scout ship. The upcoming battle on First Contact could have reminded Picard of his time as Locutus during the Battle of Wolf 359. This battle was catastrophic, involving the destruction of 39 starships and 11,000 lost lives.
Being forced to use your vast knowledge of Starfleet operations to aid the Borg. Just how many of our ships were lost? 39? And a loss of life, I believe, measured at nearly 11,000.
So, Picard is experiencing trauma related towards guilt.
I will make them pay for what they've done.
Guilt we are reminded of in Deep Space Nine's pilot episode when he meets at the time Commander Cisco.
I was on the Saratoga at Wolf 359.
Cisco lost his wife at the Battle of Wolf 359, and of course blames the man technically responsible.
We met before. Yes, sir. We met in battle.
While Picard, helped with a quality performance from Patrick Stewart, tries to hide the guilt, he ultimately cannot. Now, it's understandable making these leaps in character moralities can be too much for audiences. Let's be honest now, Captain Picard is an ass-kicking or two above Mr. Rogers.
What do? Do you punch a bag? Do you pound some clay or some dough? Do you round up friends for a game of tag and see how fast you go?
So, seeing him go Sunday morning lectures to screaming his bloody brains out is off-putting to those who have grown up with the character. However, I think the film does a great enough job exploring the rationale. The choice to have Picard go off the deep end is solidified with him being teamed up with Lily majority of the film. Had it been someone else like Worf or even Riker, it's safe to say this character study wouldn't have worked. They would have easily called Picard out.
With all due respect, sir, I believe you are allowing your personal experience with the Borg to influence your judgment.
But Lily, not knowing Picard, gets to see the exploration of this character in this traumatic state. She even comments on it multiple times.
It's so simple. The Borg hurt you, and now you're going to hurt them back.
In my century, we don't succumb to revenge. We have a more evolved sensibility.
Bullshit!
This was Ensign Lynch.
Tough luck, huh?
Get out!
Or what? You'll kill me? Like you killed Ensign Lynch?
There was no way to save him.
You didn't even try.
Witnessing him go through the rabbit hole of trauma-induced self-destruction.
You broke your little ships.
This study of our heroes goes beyond Captain Picard, but also in Zefram Cochrane. Cochrane, the man who built the first warp engine, is seen as a heroic figure.
It's just a little hero worship, Doc. To tell you the truth, can't say I blame him. We all grew up hearing about what you did here, or what you're about to do. You're standing almost on the exact spot where your statue's gonna be. Statue? Oh, yeah.
Something of the likes of like a Washington or Neil Armstrong.
It's marble, about 20 meters tall, and you're looking up at the sky, and your hands sort of reaching toward the future.
Throughout the movie, and even established in the series Enterprise, he's seen as this highly heroic figure.
Engine will let us go boldly, where no man has gone before.
Those drapes are pulled back to reveal a troubled man.
I'm not going back. Look, Doc, we can't do this without you.
I don't care.
Who wasn't out to be a hero, but for the fame and fortune attached to it.
Want to know what my vision is? Dollar signs. Money. I didn't build this ship to usher in a new era for humanity.
First Contact, despite being an action-heavy film, is actually a rather solid character study. First Contact is definitely warranting of some of the criticism it receives.
Killing himself and everyone else aboard.
Prepare for ramming speed!
But now all of a sudden he's like...
The Defiant.
You mean the ship you were just planning to ram into the Borg cube and blow up?
Computer, mid-21st century civilian clothing. Number 1, you have the bridge.
If I were the computer, I'd be like, what? Clothes? Who said that? Where do you want it at?
However, of the TNG films, it does enough to stand head and shoulders above the competition.
You're really going to risk igniting the exhaust? All right. I will.
Master of the mad that you feel.
I will.
On rewatch, most viewers will be stunned that, despite this film being made 23 years ago, looks simply fantastic. Model design, costume design, and special effects, at least in my opinion, can hold up to most films made today. It's entirely quotable and has lots of great, heartwarming moments that I think feel especially Star Trek. Sure, it doesn't have that exploration feel, but in all honesty, none of the TNG films really do.
I will.
Then again, now that I think about it, First Contact does receive a lot of unnecessary hatred for its action, despite the franchise consensus Wrath of Khan having a decent amount of action and, well, kind of grotesque deaths. So my consensus is this. First Contact features a rather plot hole-laden time-traveling theme that I hate.
They're creating a temporal vortex. Time travel.
In all honesty, time traveling in most films is usually pretty stupid. And features fantastic visual effects.
Fire.
Great atmosphere. And some pretty great character moments.
Resistance is futile.
It tries new developments with characters, particularly Picard, that make it feel compelling enough throughout.
When I was held captive on the Borg ship, my crew risked everything to save me. There is someone still on this ship, and I owe him the same.
When you take clips out of context, it's easy to see this as nothing more than a desperate attempt to make an action film. However, there is a relatively well done character study placed into a pretty well done action film in the Trek universe. It's well worth the watch. Hey Tots, thanks so much for watching. Big thanks to all of you for helping me go over 3,000 subscribers. All the support means a lot. I'll see you Tots on the next video.